So,
Yeah.
Holly Bailey, you might know her from Substack. Your publication is predominantly about mindfulness, isn't it?
Mindfulness, well-being, personal growth. Yeah.
And it's called Zestful
Mhm.
Zen.
Yeah, that's right.
Lovely. And you just went full time into your freelance creative life. What, like
Yeah.
4 weeks ago? 6 weeks ago?
I think maybe 5 or 6 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah, so almost there.
Yeah.
And how are you finding that
Easing
so
in.
far?
Yeah, easing in, definitely. I think I guess at the beginning I'd planned, oh, I'll take a week or two off and then get started. And then I got too excited and just kind of like jumped in straight away. And now I'm thinking, yeah, maybe it's time for a little bit of a break, after finishing a busy job and then jumping straight into all the business setup. So looking forward to Christmas,
You
definitely.
can imagine. So I've been doing this type of life since 2013, January
Mhm.
2013. And I think it's that thing where you can't be on all the time, like switched on. You
Mhm.
can't be like full pelt all the time. You have to kind of have cycles and ebbs and flows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just not possible when you're just like one human.
Yeah.
Um, but we're talking today because you submitted to write up and you're reading on Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't quite believe it.
And your piece is called The Forever Christmas Tree of Number 92.
Yeah.
And it's memoir.
Yes. Yeah. Memoir. I guess, yeah, looking back at some memories that got sparked around Christmas. Yeah.
And just before we get into the piece, I'm really interested in your writing journey over this last
Mhm.
year. I'm trying to think when we first connected. So I know you came to the
Mm.
workshop that I did in March.
Yeah.
Who's the first time I met you in person?
Yeah,
Was
I think so. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
because that was for International Women's Day.
was for International
Yeah.
Women's Day. And I remember going to you, oh, hi, I'm Amy. And you were like, I know. um, you were so sweet. And so can you talk to me about what your journey's been like this?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I've never aspired to be a writer. And it's not really something, yeah, that I ever thought about doing.
Yeah.
I have done a bit of journaling over the years. Yeah, I've always failed at keeping diaries or anything like that. I've never never been very good at being consistent. But I guess I actually got started on Substack by doing my newsletter. So a friend gave me a subscription to someone on Substack, and I'd never heard of Substack about, I don't know, 2 years ago. I was like, oh, what is this thing? And I just started as a lurker reading different newsletters. And then when I decided that I was going to start my business as a side hustle, I thought, oh, well, maybe I could write a newsletter. It can't be, yeah, it can't do any harm. And it'll give me a bit of practice before I go all in. So I started with that, but I still didn't really think of that as writing as such. I guess I think of writing, or I did think of writing as more, someone that writes novels or memoirs or a journalist, or like that's their profession. But then I went to a few different events, mostly organized by you.
Oh,
So I did go to the International Women's Day, where we did quite a bit of journaling with different prompts. And then I've been to one of your writing circles, where people get together and talk through pieces and kind of give each other advice on what they've written. And I've also been to your meetups where people read pieces that they've written, different Substack writers. Um, and I have to admit that I thought I'd bitten off more than I could chew when I went to the writing circle, because I hadn't quite realized what it was. I
I
think I'd
remember you
pictured,
saying that. They're like
yeah.
before or something. Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
I thought it was something like the Women's
Journal.
Day workshop with some journaling and prompts and things. And then when you emailed saying, "Have you got your piece ready to send?" I was like, "What? What do you mean I have to write something beforehand?" But I think I find that I somehow need that deadline,
Yeah.
and I need that, I don't know, giving it to someone else to make me go a bit outside my comfort zone and do a bit of memoir. So I did some memoir for that writing circle. And then, yeah, I really enjoyed Write Up in July, going along and listening to everyone. And I think I did actually send a piece into that, but it was quite last minute and I was very new in at writing and um, unsurprisingly didn't get selected. And then I was quite interested in doing it again this time, but I just couldn't think of anything to write about because I was kind of thinking like, do you know what do I say about Christmas? And then an idea just came to me, I think about 4 hours before the deadline. So I
That's
sat
that
down and wrote
season
something.
competency.
Yeah, I think I need that final push to be like, inspiration, there is something I can say. So yeah, it's kind of just been experimentation, I guess, and just yeah, trying out new things. The prompts that you've given at various events have been quite helpful as well. And I think it's also been really helpful listening to other people's pieces and seeing their writing develop through the meetups and the writing circle and kind of yeah, getting those different perspectives and seeing different styles of writing. So
I love
baby
that.
step.
Yeah. It's one of those things, because I did the first meetup last year in November, and then we've met people at various different points.
Mhm.
It's been amazing to witness over this past year so many people's writing develop, like their
Mhm.
style, their voice, but also I think
Yeah.
their confidence and their sense of
Mhm.
safety. It's been incredible to witness.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
what's
it's been
you
really nice.
has been what were the kind of shift for you in thinking, moving from, like, obviously you talked about that you've done journaling and then actually,
Mhm.
which is therapeutic, you know,
Mhm.
it's helpful and it's often where we can experiment with ideas. I suppose do that.
Yeah.
I have that very blended approach in how I use my morning pages, that, you know, it is very much a mix of personal and professional. But
Mhm.
that kind of gear switch into doing something where you're moving actually into craft, how was that for you?
Good question. I'm not really sure. I guess everything that I've written so far has been memoir for when I've been submitting it to the groups and things. And I have found that quite cathartic in a way. And it's I think every time actually it's been something about my parents who've both passed away. And yeah, I think it's maybe it's a way of processing grief and like memories and difficult experiences, and you know there's always complications in family relationships, and yeah, maybe it's a way of working through that. I think I also forgot to mention something in my writing journey. I've also tried doing some of Beth Kempton's things. So I did the Winter Writing Sanctuary it's between Christmas and New Year. And I find that really helpful. My mum had just passed away before Christmas, and I think that was just so releasing to just do something for me,
Yeah.
and just spend a bit of time in solitude and, you know, process my thoughts. And I think that also exposed me to quite a lot of different sort of writing things because we did poetry and lots of other styles and things. Yeah, so I think that has been quite supportive.
I think a
But I
lot of
do
people
I
found.
do find that I need the prompts or I need a push. I need something to make me do it. Otherwise, I just stick to doing my newsletter. So I did a few of the Tiny Autumn poems that Beth was doing
Yeah.
recently as well, and that was really fun. And I'm looking forward to doing Winter Writing Sanctuary again this year. But yeah, I don't have a consistent writing practice other than my newsletter, which I think is a sort of factual in a way.
A
Yeah.
lot of people really love that from Beth Kempton because I think it's a
Mhm.
very gentle, inviting approach. And she does the thinking for you. You just get to be,
Yeah.
don't you? You don't have to think about what you're going to write. You just enter the space
Mhm.
and she gets it all ready for you. And
Yeah.
really, that's really nice because I think a lot of people think, oh God, what do I want to write? What do I
Mhm.
want to say? You know, is often something that actually takes quite a lot of work to kind of get to that thing. And most writers have preoccupations. You know, I mean, it's something I discussed with Tom particularly,
Mhm.
Tom Wentworth, who's one of the judges, where we
Yeah.
would talk about writers and then returning to themes, and he would be like, "Oh, you know." they've returned to this theme again. And I was like, yeah, but
Mhm.
writers do that. They spend their entire
Yeah.
careers like unpacking the same
Mhm.
theme. So I think it's how you approach those themes and the
Yeah.
movement of that journey. But no, I love that you did that. And I think, particularly when we do revisit people, parents or different people in memoir, it gives us actually the opportunity to consider things from other people's point of view
Mhm. Yeah.
in a way that doesn't feel blaming or absolving
Mhm.
or any of those things, just to
Yeah.
be realistic and think about when you think of someone as a character, I often end up thinking about, well, what was their motivation? What was the context that those
Yeah.
decisions were happening in? It's actually a really interesting way to kind of look at the past.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a little less confronting in some way, you
Yeah.
know? Mm.
Absolutely. And so how does it feel? So this is a big jump for you because I don't think you've ever read at a meetup. So like go,
No.
go straight to that right up. But I think, having been to the first one, that it's a very
Yeah.
welcoming space. So do you feel like you'll be okay?
Yeah, I mean, I know I'm one of those people that gets quite excited about stuff. And then once I actually get to the stage, the panic will probably hit. And I'll be like, what was I thinking? But yeah, I am really looking forward to it. I really enjoyed going to the one in July, and there was just so much diversity in the pieces, and so many different perspectives that so the theme that time was on home, and people had just taken so many different angles. And I think this time around, what I was getting stuck on a bit before I did submit was just, I just couldn't think of like, what can I say that's unique about Christmas at all? Um, but I'm so curious then to see again, because I'm sure everyone has gone for such different takes. And even just seeing the titles of the pieces, I'm like, ooh, I wonder what this is about. And I'm so curious about that. And I think particularly I'm really curious about Maeve and Eva's pieces because I've heard them read in the meetups, and I've kind of yeah, I've seen or heard some of their pieces before and have a bit of a sense of some of their style of writing, but I've got no idea where they might take this.
Maeve is very witty. She's very
Yeah.
witty. And I don't know her well, but she came and read at one of the meetups, and she's got like such a lovely. It's only because you're both Irish, but different parts of Ireland. Um,
Yeah.
she's the island of Ireland.
Yeah.
um, and I think in her piece you will get that sense of
Hmm.
lyricism and
Yeah.
humor and wit and that kind of
Yeah.
it's really good crack, her piece, as well as
Yeah.
very tender. And she's someone who I think writes really well in dramatic monologue. So
Mhm.
she really loves doing the performance of them.
Mhm.
And they're all really different. Like we worked together a couple of days ago, didn't we? I
Yeah.
was working with one writer yesterday, and her piece was completely the opposite. And I was like, this is very much a piece where you don't work it too hard. It's not
Mhm.
about performance, it's about truth and the weight of emotion, the depth of emotion,
Yeah.
then the lightness, all these kind of very
Mhm.
internal things. You don't need to overperform this. You need the breath and you need the pause, but it's
Yeah.
something very different. So I think that's really been really interesting for me and lovely
Mhm.
because I used to be a director. When we first moved to London, that's why we moved to London. I was a director on a play. Um, and I've loved kind of like being able to think in that brain again. You probably didn't get
Yeah.
this with me, Holly, because I think yours was the first one. Um,
It was all really helpful. I mean, I was a bit overwhelmed because, yeah, I've never read things before. I've only written them for people to read. And I was like, oh, there's all these angles I hadn't considered and ways of saying things. So, yeah, that'll be a really interesting
how
experience.
was that thing? Because that was 2 days ago.
Hmm.
Giving you time to think about some of those notes on the
Yeah.
canned
Yeah.
words. How has that been?
I think it's all still sinking in. I've only just managed to fix my printer this morning. So, so now I should be able, well, I think it's almost fixed. I was in the middle of it before we started the live. But hopefully I will have it printed and then be able to read it with the notes because I've sort of at the minute been looking at my laptop and my notebook, and that's a bit confusing. But yeah, it's quite an interesting experience. And I guess I'm slightly nervous about that and how it comes across in the performance. But I do know that it'll be a lovely audience. So
And nobody expects
yeah,
you to be an actress. You know,
yeah,
it's not that. That's not. It's that
mhm,
truth. It's the authenticity and the connection
yeah,
that people will want. And I think the coaching and thinking about performance is actually just to help
mhm,
you have more fun with it.
yeah,
It kind of gives you a little bit of a container for sharing. A lot of people are sharing very personal experiences.
mhm,
And that can be quite vulnerable. So sometimes I think actually thinking of it in terms of those performance notes just helps you give it a little bit of distance and space to kind
mhm,
of not feel so exposed.
yeah,
Um, and you can enjoy it's the energy, isn't it? Because there is that
yeah,
receiving of energy when you read something.
yeah. And I think it's such a beautiful venue as well, and it felt so warm and intimate
Yeah.
last time, even though it's actually quite a big space and there was quite a lot of people, but
Yeah, that's 60 people.
somehow it was just like this cozy little group of supportive people. Yeah. And I think everyone was transfixed by all the pieces last time. We were just sitting there being like, oh, wow. Yeah.
But being
Yeah.
told a story is such a beautiful thing. Like I've
Mhm.
always like before I came on this, I was listening to a story. Like I have stories on. I mean, I love music and I think music
Mhm.
is such a nice part and I like the piece
Yeah.
picked as well. Um, but for me, I probably have stories on even more than music. Like I've always
Mhm.
got kind of like that going on throughout the day. And sometimes I'll play different stories, like at different parts of the day. It's not even necessarily
Yeah.
in the book. Um, but your piece of music, so you've got what's it called? The bells, Christmas bells.
I think it's Carol of the Bells.
Carol of the
Over
Bells. And I picked the Home Alone version because that's from my childhood. I'm assuming it would have been a part of a lot of people's childhood. But why were you drawn to that piece of music?
So I think it was two things really. So my dad really loved Christmas carols, and he listened to them like morning, noon, and night in December. He would have them on TV or on a CD or whatever, and was just very festive. So I kind of grown up always having Christmas carols around this time of year. But funnily enough, I don't think that's one that he ever played. But there's something about the pace of it, and
It's
it's a
quite,
slightly frantic
I
one.
think it always feels to me like it's quite an American piece.
Yeah.
You know,
But yeah, there's something about the pace and the emotion in it that really appeals to me and kind of makes me think of the slight craziness of Christmas at times.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's got a definite like beat to it,
Mhm.
hasn't it? Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, also for you, obviously your piece, I don't want to give too much away, but it is about Christmas, but it's kind of
Yeah.
also not about Christmas as
Mhm.
well, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess it's sort of about how how do I describe it without saying too much?
Like that idea
I
of
guess it's
trust
about
things,
fun.
keep it in your heart for all the year. It's a very good
Yeah.
station of that.
Yeah, and I guess it's like, yeah, memories of family and the strange quirks that people can have. And yeah, things they do that are a bit eccentric that people might wonder, what? Why are they doing that? Yeah, and there's a sort of link to Christmas with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that does come through.
Mhm.
I know in one of the pieces that we didn't select, but I'm quite interested in, and I'm going to talk to the writer about working with her a bit more.
Mhm.
It was kind of talking about how you think your Christmas is normal, and it's what
Mhm.
he is doing, and then
Yeah.
you have a partner, or you end up in somebody else's Christmas, and you think, "What is that? What are you doing?" It's really funny, isn't it? That you think
Yeah.
it's so universal, but
Mhm.
actually, it can be very specific to your family and your
Yeah.
person's family.
Yeah, every family is unique and has got their own slightly strange traditions or lack of tradition or yeah, lack of complying with what the norm is. So yeah, it's quite interesting how we all work.
Definitely. And
Hmm.
how has your journey this year and the different types of writing that you've been doing impacted on, how you do your Substack, how your newsletters developed? Like, do you see it all interlinking?
In some ways, I think it's encouraged me to experiment a bit. So I have, I guess, back when I did the Winter Writing Sanctuary, I did publish some of the things that I wrote. I think it was mainly poetry that I published. But I don't know that I've really brought any memoir into my Substack, although I would say that my Substack essays usually have something personal in them. So there tends to be, something in them for people to take away and journaling prompts and things, but usually it's grounded in, I guess, an experience that I've had or something that I've wanted to share about what's going on in my life and how that might be similar for other people or how it might apply to situations that they're in.
Mm,
So I guess it's fed into that a little. And I think, yeah, just trying out the new writing styles has encouraged me to experiment a bit more with my Substack. And actually, I think going to all the writing events has encouraged me to do more event type things and not just writing in a way. So I did do a winter well-being workshop last week. I actually did it twice for different time zones. And I'm thinking now of also doing a monthly meditation circle and maybe a co-working session as well. Because I just feel, yeah, I feel the urge for connection
yeah.
with people. And I think that has come from going to your in-person events. I don't think I'm ready to replicate stuff like that quite yet. And to organize an in-person. Maybe I need a slightly bigger audience first, so I can have enough people to rent a venue. But yeah, it's definitely, I think, given me I guess the permission slip to be a bit creative and to try new things out and not worry. And if they don't work, that's all right. Then I can do something else new. And I think it's also really fed into my new business actually, because I need to do lots of stuff on my website, and it takes a lot longer than I anticipated to set all that stuff, even just the back end stuff,
Yeah.
to get it working. But I think it's been really helpful both experimenting with like the different writing styles and doing the newsletter and reading lots of people's things on Substack and just seeing different writing styles and thinking how can I use invitational language in everything that I'm putting on my website for my business. So yeah, everything all kind of interlinks in a strange kind of way.
And it's
It's
discovering your own voice and your own
yeah.
style. Because even though I look at other people and really admire what they do and connect with what
Mhm.
they do, the aim isn't to replicate somebody else.
Mhm.
They do it. It's to find what you want to say and how you
Yeah.
want to say it in a way that works for you.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
shift at different
And
times.
yeah, I think it really evolves because I was looking at my Substack about page the other day and I thought, oh, don't feel like this sounds like me anymore. And I need to totally redo it, but I haven't had time yet. But that's a job, I think, for January or maybe over the holidays. But yeah, it really does shift over time as you, yeah, grow a bit and get a bit braver about what you can say, maybe.
Well, also because it's such a, like, you do change. So you write something in a
Mhm.
particular moment on a particular day, and how you
Yeah,
approach something one day might not have been the way that you approach it another day, and
yeah.
it's always kind of like a factor in it, like that person, that moment, that creation.
Hmm.
It's almost like a time capsule to where you were, because you always do get
Yeah.
by what's happening in your life, how you're feeling, what the
Yeah.
weather, all these kind of things come out in your writing.
Mhm.
And whether you need
Yeah.
to make it a like, it was really interesting. I saw Margaret Atwood
Mhm.
a few weeks ago, and she was asked kind of like a question about, because she wrote a really wonderful book. She's done quite a lot of historical
Mhm.
um type books, and I think they were asking her about Alias Grace,
Mhm.
which I think is set in the 1800s. And they said, how do you go about your research and recreating that time? And she said, well, the idea that you're recreating a time is just a fantasy, because even if
Mhm.
your book is set in the past, you're writing about now. You're writing
Hmm.
the life that you're living now. We all want to get our research right and we want it to feel authentic and
Hmm.
acknowledge what's happened and all those kind of nuances. But she said, all writers, whether you want to or not, whether that's your aim, whether you think you're perfectly creating the past, the story that you're telling is your story of now. And I think
Hmm.
that was quite freeing, actually, and takes off a lot of pressure because I often write stuff that's in the past. And even though I love to recreate the feeling of that time and have all those kind of little like nods to it with music and detail and all these kind of things, like, actually, no, it's true. You can only reflect the time you live in now. It's like my
Hmm.
mum always used to get really hacked off with like Downton Abbey because she'd be like, "That's just a fantasy. People weren't very nice to their servants back up then. What are they on about?" But it's because they're taking our value
Yeah.
and putting some fancy dress on it.
Yeah. Very true.
It is. But I think when it's the recent past as well, um, it is funny, isn't it? It might not be that society has shifted, but we've often shifted as people,
Hmm.
and how much do you see yourself as a character within the piece compared to
Ooh.
the writer?
Ah, I've not thought about that. Yeah, I guess I am. And I guess it's like an earlier version of me in a way. Yeah, from a few years ago. So, yeah, I guess I am a character as well. And I guess when I'm writing it, I'm sort of picturing what happened in a way, and like I'm in that scene. So, yeah, I would be a character then.
It's
Yeah.
almost those choices, isn't it? Because it's like if you know with hindsight how things
Hmm.
out, but often with
Yeah.
a writer's piece, you have to write from within the moment of the knowledge that
Hmm.
you have within the moment and the perspective,
Yeah.
the point of view. So you kind of have to step into that person's shoes a little bit. But
Hmm.
I also think that allows you protection because
Yeah.
because you do become a bit of a character in your piece sometimes.
Hmm.
Sometimes that can make you be much kinder to characters than you are to yourself.
Yeah.
Um, so what are you doing between now and Saturday evening, Holly? What is happening?
Uh, well, I need to do a lot of practicing. I've got a mindfulness class for some ex-colleagues this afternoon, so I need to prepare for that as well. And then I'm actually going to Cambridge for
You?
a like mini break. Yeah, with my boyfriend. So we're having to come back a little earlier than planned now that I'm performing and I have to be there earlier.
Oh,
I
I'm
was
sorry.
originally no, it's fine. I was originally thinking,
Coming?
it's
Is it
okay, I
coming?
don't need to be there till 6:30. So we have to be back by 5. So yeah, so I should hopefully be nice and rested.
Oh, you're going to be
But I
great.
will be arriving suitcase in tow straight from the train.
I'm so envious. I have to do a Christmas fair tomorrow afternoon.
Oh, dear.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
too much. I feel like I'm almost just like trying to get through the Christmas things rather than
Hmm.
enjoy the Christmas things, which is completely not what I want to be doing.
Yeah.
Any tips for that, Holly? Because I'm finding it overwhelmed, huge.
Well, something that I've heard people say a lot is reframing it. So instead of thinking, "Oh, I have to do this," be thinking, "Oh, I get to do this. Like this is a fun thing, or it's an experience of some sort, and it's an opportunity, and something that you get to do that maybe some people don't get to do, and kind of trying to look at it that way, but also be kind to yourself and take a break and don't feel like you have to do everything perfectly. Just
I
be
mean,
there in the moment
nothing's
and
ever perfect.
let it happen.
Like I am definitely not a perfectionist in any way. I'm a very much "oh, that'll do" type
Mhm.
person, which is actually really unusual because most of the creatives I
Yeah.
work with are perfectionists, and that's where they're
Mhm.
blocked. But I'm just, me,
Yeah.
just announce something and then just work
Mhm.
it out.
Yeah. Good way to motivate yourself.
But I'm really excited to hear your piece on Saturday and to see
Thank you.
a lovely time in Cambridge.
Thank
If
you. I've never been.
if anybody's thinking that they'd like to come to write up on Saturday, or they're thinking maybe they haven't kind of been in the writing community before,
Yeah.
or they haven't shared their work in that way
Yeah.
before. What would you say to them?
Definitely come along. I mean, when I went in July, I don't think I might have just been to your writing group just before then. But yeah, I definitely wasn't a writer as I thought of myself. And I just really enjoyed it. And also don't be nervous about going by yourself if you don't know people, because I went by myself and I didn't really know anyone. But everyone was super friendly, and it's arranged in a really nice way actually, because everyone's sitting at tables. So it's almost more like you're there at dinner or there in the pub or something, and it's quite relaxed and casual. It's not like you've got to like sit down and face the stage and not talk to anyone. So yeah, it was really warm and welcoming. It was just a really fun night and really interesting to see everything. And I wouldn't worry about not being a writer or not feeling enough of a writer. Yeah, there was all different sorts of creatives and people's friends. And I think wasn't there like a little old lady that came in off the
That's
street as
I
well?
loved her because Nisha's piece. If anybody has not read Nisha's, in fact, one guy
Yeah.
from church messaged me, and he was like, "Oh, we wouldn't normally come along, but I'm going to come because Banny, who did the music and the sound
Yeah.
last time, told me how amazing it was," and I felt like going to him, but not a saucy piece this time. But Tanisha's piece was amazing.
Yeah.
Think it's one that's very much stuck with people for all
Yeah.
right reasons. And I've said this a few times on lives, but we had a little old lady come in and she said, "Can I come? And what is this?" And we took her money, and then I was a bit like, "Oh no, what if she doesn't like it?" So we gave her a free drink and like settled her down. And we were like, I can't remember which one of the guys said it to her, but he
Mm.
said, "Oh, there is a piece on at the end that's a bit risque, so you might want to turn your hearing aid down." And she went, "I will turn my hearing aid up. Thank you very much." Maybe one of the categories should have been like an erotic Christmas, like a saucy.
Yeah.
Isn't that what we all dream of? Well, I've never had.
Within our
I was a
spectrum.
daughter, and then I was a mother, so I've not. I had a wholesome family Christmas. It's really funny. Once I was doing so like when my first memoir came out, I was
Mm.
doing an interview with Good Housekeeping for their Christmas
Yeah.
edition, which apparently is a very big deal. Apparently, Good Housekeeping is still like the Christmas edition is like the biggest thing in magazines at that time of year. And I was doing an interview about our family Christmas, and she's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I'm doing, "Oh, I'm making cookies with the children, and we're making paper chains, and we're doing this,
Mm.
we're doing that." And she went, "Oh, you have a homespun Christmas? How sweet!" And I was like, "Do I? I had no idea." Like, I always thought, that I don't know if you've ever seen The Good Life Christmas, when Margot and Jerry's Christmas comes in a van. Into their Christmas, it arrives. And people like who always have a different theme each year. I don't
Oh
think
yeah.
I have the energy to do it. Like, I just get out all the same stuff and we add one or
Yeah.
two baubles year on year. We have baubles on our tree that are from like when I was born, they're from like
Mm.
1981. And I love that when we're unpacking them, all the different memories and times.
Yeah.
Find that beautiful. And I thought that was how it was for everybody. I didn't know that people pick a colour and pick a theme and do all these things. I
Yeah.
had no idea.
I think people have very different styles. So my Christmas tree is always just a total jumble of stuff I've collected from places I've been. I actually haven't put up yet this year. No, because I needed to do a bit of a clear out. Because yeah, I moved back to London from Belgium in June, and I was in a much bigger place in Belgium, and I've got too much stuff, so I kind of need to make space. So I've been clearing out this week, and then hopefully the Christmas tree could go up this weekend. But yeah, mine's always very jumbled. My sister-in-law's is perfect and gigantic. I mean, their tree would fill my whole living room. And yeah, I've got a friend that it's like, I want to say in the nicest possible way, but it's like Christmas vomited in her home. So everything is Christmas. She's overseas at the moment and told us she was only going to do a mini Christmas because of that. So she didn't put up her full tree because she's going to be away at Christmas. But she has like three mini trees. She's got Christmas bedding. She's got like wreaths. She's got everything everywhere. And I'm like, if this is mini Christmas, like what would a full-on Christmas have looked
And
like?
I had
And
that.
each tree is a different color, and yeah, it's not my style.
I mean, also,
But
you
she
have
loves
to have massive storage to achieve that.
it.
I went to someone's
Yeah.
house, and obviously they have a house in London,
Mhm.
a big house, and every room had a Christmas tree, and every room had garlands. And I was like, they must have the biggest loft in order to do
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason for my delay is because my Christmas tree is in my shed, but that's going to involve unpacking everything because my shed is like Jenga
Yeah.
or Tetris because I have no space. So yeah, that's a job for the weekend,
We've got
definitely.
psyched up. We've got the Coca-Cola train, that goes around on the. And I said to my husband, "Where's the train?" And he was like, "Oh no, I didn't find that box." And he's going, "I'm going to have to go back in and find it." And it's kind of almost like an expedition. Oh, I'll have to go now and find that freaking.
Yeah,
Oh well, have a lovely time in Cambridge. I'm so
thank
looking
you.
to see you on Saturday.
I'm
En-
excited.
Enjoy the prep. Don't stress.
Yeah.
But it will all be lovely. Thank
Yeah.
you, Holly.
Thank you for having me. It's been lovely to chat.
Oh,
And good luck with all the organization and thank you so much for pulling it all together. You're a miracle worker and it's amazing what you've pulled off again for a second time.
I will be trying to find some holly and bits and pieces. There's lots of ivy in my gardens. I'll be cutting that down over the next few days. But also when I had to come back from radio yesterday, I've got to do another trip. I I must have looked like the biggest dipsomaniac with all these bottles of wine in my child's wagon that I like strutting through the streets of West London. And I could take in my car, but for some masochistic reason, I thought it
Yeah.
was hilarious to put it in the wagon. And I haven't learnt my lesson because I'm going to go back and do the same with the bubbly as well.
Why not?
Bye, Ali.
Bye. Take care.